Welcome back to SMPostcards. Today, little agenda right here. What's sold? I only got 6 cards. Not every day is a home run. Some days you sell 2, some days you sell 20, 50 cards, and then some days you sell 6. But that's how it goes. That's retail, reselling. Then on deep dive, Garden of the Gods postcards. People say, well, what's that? Is that an international card? No, Garden of the Gods is a canyon like with rock formations and stuff, and we're going to get into that because I see a lot of those cards. A lot of people don't list them and stuff. I do sell them. They don't sell as fast. I maybe sell them in batches more than anything, but they do sit. But I wanted to learn a little bit about the history of the Garden of the Gods, and we'll go through that in a deep dive with sell-through rate and pricing. And then instead of a poll today, I put together 10 reasons why people buy postcards. You ever get someone to say, postcards? Who buys those? When people find out I sell postcards and what I do, they say, really? Is that a thing? So I wanted to come up with 10 reasons why people buy postcards. Some I put a lower value on and some more, so we'll go through 10 reasons of that. Then I got 3 viewer comments. One of the comments is, what's your typical day like? I had to think about that. I pulled that from email, and I'm sitting there, what is my typical day? So I'll walk through that. We'll do it together. But first, I'm going to show you what I sold on this pull of cards. This card right here is the hospital building, University of Nebraska College of Medicine, Omaha, Nebraska. Looks like a white border card, and that sold for $7.95. Unposted white border card, $7.95. Next one is just a ship, Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, Norfolk, Virginia. Just water in a boat, Chesapeake thing. Chrome card, $4.95. This is what I call a drawing card. It's the Nathaniel Russell House, Charleston, South Carolina, Historic Charleston Foundation. Vertical card this way, unposted. I call these drawing cards. I don't know what that thing. It's on that non-pressed paper type stuff, not really linen. Different type of paper, $4.95. Next one sold for $7.75. This is Murray Avenue in Goshen, New York. And this is a divided back card and does have some corner problems. If you notice right there in the corner, I'd probably put that in the listing. If not, my condition statement states it. But that's Murray Street, Goshen, New York. And that was $7.75. Sold another first day cover, or not a first day cover, it's a naval ship cover. Because it has Will M.R. Rush, USS Rush. Right there is a stamp from the ship is what they want. It's got a little clown stamp on it, pretty cool. But that's what they want right there. They send these self-addressed stamped envelopes to the ships, and then the ship post person stamps them on there. And that sold for $4.95. Next one is a semi-gloss on front, matte back print that the club did when I bought these cards a few years ago. Of the USS California BB-44. Notice the camouflage going across. But that's a 6x4 print of that. So only 6 cards, total of $37.74. If I take $37.74 divided by 6, gives me an gross average sale price of $6.29. And those other higher cards help with that. Also had a person purchase 5 packs of dividers. They're putting their inventory together, their collection together, and I have those in the Ko-Fi store. And he bought 5 packs of 10, so 50 dividers. And without shipping, I don't add shipping into this. It was only $16.50. So the total for the day was $54.24. So $50, a little under my goal that I wanted to do. But you can't have a home run every day. I don't have a lot of, I can't remember the last time I had 0. I always got something coming in every day. And remember, these are gross numbers. If you're promoting, doing sales, best offers, all that stuff comes from, basically takes from the bottom line in the sales dollars. So you can do what you want with that number I gave you. But I don't do promoting. I don't run a lot of sales. I don't do best offer on these lower end cards. And I don't do a lot of markdown sales. So I put my best price out there and I get what I want. I want the margins. That's what's sold. Garden of the Gods. We're going to talk a little bit about this. Got some paragraphs. I got some facts here about the Garden of the Gods that we'll go over. And while I do this, I'm going to show you some postcards of the Garden of the Gods. Here we go. Garden of the Gods in Colorado has a history that goes back millions of years. The stunning red rock formations were formed by natural forces like wind, water, and geological activity over time. Long ago, the area was once covered by a shallow sea, and as the land shifted, the rocks were pushed up, creating the towering sandstone structures we see today. For thousands of years, Native American tribes such as the Ute, Apache, and Comanche lived and traveled through these areas. They considered it a sacred place. The Ute people called it Red Rock Corral, and it was a place where they could find shelter and resources while traveling across the land. They respected the area's beauty and power. In the 1800s, two surveyors discovered the site for the first time during a trek and were so impressed by its beauty that one of them said it would be a fit place for the gods to gather, giving it the name of Garden of the Gods. Later in 1909, Charles Perkins, a local man who owned the land, he owned the Garden of the Gods, left it to the city of Colorado Springs with the promise that it would always be free to the public, allowing everyone to enjoy its beauty forever. That was a nice gesture. Postcards from Garden of the Gods in Colorado have been popular for over a century, capturing the park's stunning red rock formations, towering spears, and breathtaking views of Pikes Peak in the background. Visitors often send these postcards to share the beauty of this unique landscape with friends and family. The colorful and dramatic scenes make the Garden of the Gods postcards a lasting reminder of the park's natural wonders. 3 facts here. Alien-like rocks from the ancient sea. The giant rock formations in Garden of the Gods were once at the bottom of an ocean, but over millions of years they have been twisted and flipped around. Some of the rocks are standing completely upside down, like nature decided to break the rules of gravity. Second fact, the rock that refuses to fall. Balanced rock, I'm sure maybe you've seen that postcard of the balanced rock, looks like it's defying physics by perching on a tiny base, almost like it's playing a prank on us. People used to be so sure it would fall that they took bets on when it would happen. Spoiler, it's still there, thousands of years later, like it's laughing at us at all. Hollywood comes to the rocks. Garden of the Gods has been a backdrop for several Western movies in the 1950s. Films like The Lone Ranger were shot there. It's easy to see why those strange towering rocks make you feel like you've landed on another planet instead of Colorado Park. So that's Garden of the Gods history. So some guy, 2 people came in, they said this looks like where the gods go, they call it the Garden of the Gods. The guy owned the land, gave it to the city, and now it's a public park. We've been when we spent 10 days in the Grand Canyon, we stayed at the Grand Canyon, rode the mules down and up, and stayed down in the bottom for 2 days, and then went to Las Vegas. Our friends had family there, and spent the rest of the time in Vegas, and we went out to some desert area, kind of like the Garden of the Gods out by Vegas, and it was huge. But that's where Star Trek, some movies like Star Trek were filmed and stuff. We saw some plaques. But do these rocks sell? Little chart here that I come up with to help me with the data, instead of just thinking it's a cool card. If I do a sell-through rate and it comes at 0.3% low red, I try not to pick them up, but you end up getting them sometimes. They might sell, but they don't sell as fast. 4 to 10% in the lighter green areas is where I work. That's what I look for. And while I'm doing that, I usually find the 11 plus sell-through rates that sell a lot better. So it's kind of like a probability chart, or weather. Is it going to rain today or not? Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong, but it gives me a better range of what sells and doesn't sell. So how I do it, I just take sold. I go into eBay, I put postcard Garden of the Gods. I click on sold. It says 167. Then I unclick the sold checkbox, and there's 6,700 up in the top left corner that are listed in the last 90 days. You take 167 divided by 6,700, you times it by 100 to get a percent, round up or down, it's a 2% card, and on the chart here, it's right in the middle of the low. So it's not a fast moving card. So if you go in, you're buying postcards, and you see a box full of postcards, a dealer or someone's trying to sell, and it's got half of these Garden of the Gods and rock formations, I would probably pass. They're not going to sell fast. Do you need them in your store? I do list them, but I don't list a lot of them. I sprinkle them in. Some people do buy them, teachers, historians, or people who live out there or just want that postcard. There might be a series. You never know, but I don't price them up. They go for $4.95, and I don't pay a lot for them, probably less than a nickel. Just throw them in with the lot or whatever I tell the guy. They don't move, so they're not my top priority. And this reinforces that with the 2% sell-through rate. But I wanted to check that 2% against other Canyon cards that I've seen out there. So we got Garden of the Gods at 2%. Then you got Bryce Canyon. I think that's in Utah. I got a video coming up on Bryce Canyon. That's 3%. Then you got Red Rock Canyon, 3%, and Verde Canyon, 3%. So I think the 2%. So all your Canyon cards here are going to be in the lower average or low areas. So be careful of those. Don't spend your day just listing those. Sprinkle them in. You need to have a variety and quantity at the level what I do with the average cards and stuff. But I wouldn't load up a store expecting them to sell. So you want to set your expectations for these cards. I think you need to have some, but I wouldn't fill them up. So sell-through rate is done. It's not a fast mover. I'm not going to actively source them. I'll get them in lots or stuff like that, but I'm not going to actively sort Garden of the Gods. But then you need to look at the pricing. Maybe they don't sell as fast, but maybe they sell for more. Your real photos and stuff like that, your real expensive ones, unique ones, that's a different niche, I feel. It's not what I do with the average cards. They're going to sell themselves, so you can kind of throw sell-through rate out the window when there's one-of-a-kind real photos and stuff like that. But the first one, I found 8 of them that will go over the pricing from high to low. The first one here is a beautiful hand-colored Albert type. Garden of the Gods trading card, old postcard. Trading company, old postcard. So Albert type, a lot of people get caught up in these rabbit holes thinking Albert type, this is, whatever. I don't look for that 2% of the people looking for Albert type. I want the people that want the Garden of the Gods. The subject is the trading company. It's a pretty neat card here. It looks pretty good. So I don't try to target just artists and collectors and stuff because that's a lower number of people. I want to get the mass. Maybe some collectors will pick it up, but I don't put that in my title. I put it in maybe in the item specifics. But what is an Albert type? So I grabbed the definition for it real quick here and I'll put it at the bottom. Albert type printing is a term primarily used in the context of early photographic postcards and refers to a method of collotype printing. This printing technique was commonly used for high-quality image reproduction on postcards in the late 19th and early 20th century. So it's kind of like rotograph. They did pretty detailed, high-quality images in Albert type. So you can put that in there if you want. I usually don't look at that type of stuff. I'm targeting more of the subject of the card. But this card sold for $30, $29.95 on there. So if you want to be creative with your titles and stuff, I never say don't do it. I'm not the best at writing titles, but I like to target the trading company is what I'm trying to sell here and hit save searches and stuff. But $30. Then the next one, I found these little packs, and I'm sure you've seen these, and I put this in here. It's a postcard pack set of 22 Colorado, and they got CO. I just spell out the state. eBay knows which each one is. Mushroom Park Garden of the Gods, Gorky. $22.88. So $1 a card in these packs. I see them when they're ripped out and they have the perforation. People ask me about that. I just list them. I don't put any comments in there and stuff. It's come out of the pack. It's just a postcard. It's just got perforation on one side. It's never caused me any issues. But these little packs and stuff, I usually bunch them up and I'll sell them as a pack or give them to my friends that put ephemera packs together or scrappers and stuff. I don't deal with a lot of these on there. And that one kind of, I don't know if that's a miniature pack or a regular pack, but some of those, the quality of the paper in those packs are not good sometimes. But $22, $23 for that little pack, $1 a piece. And then you got the Spires and Garden of the Gods, Colorado Springs, divided back, vintage postcard. You can put divided back in the item specifics. You don't need the word vintage, I believe, and I would have moved postcard up front. That's the way I do titles. $15.97. $15.97 for Garden of the Gods postcards with a 2% sell-through rate. Is it that one-time buyer that just needed one card and just went in and found it, and that's it, needed a picture of a rock or something? Or are they collectors? You can speculate all you want. Then here's that balanced rock I talked about. It's just sitting there, and $10.99. It's a real photo, and this sold for $11. But that's the balanced rock. You'll see a lot of balanced rock. There's linens or divided back. There's a bunch of those. I think it was photographed a lot. Then you got the Garden of the Colorado Cathedral Spires. That's another one with the term spires. One sold for $16, and this one sold for $8 of the spires, and it looks like the same picture. If you look at that, I'll put these two pictures together. They're not too far apart. You see how those two on there? One sold for $16 and one sold for $8. I think one looks like a linen, and the other one, the first one, was a divided back. Next one is Colorado Springs, Colorado Pikes Peak from the Garden of God. So this is a picture looking through, like a panoramic type thing, through the Garden of Gods to Pikes Peak. That's a pretty neat card, but it only sold for $4.95. $5. Dr. Jim Stamps Postcards Garden of Gods. I'm not for sure what Dr. Jim Stamps is. That would be misleading maybe on there. Postcard Garden of the Gods, Colorado Springs, unposted. All that stuff can be put in the item specifics. They know who your store is. Sell the subject of the card is what I think. Oh, it looks like a linen card. Yeah, it looks linen. $3.25 auction. And then the Garden of the Gods, Colorado postcard unposted. Nothing special. And we did that. I did that poll about posted or unposted. Most people wanted posted postcards, but you can actually click that box in the item specifics and it'll still search. So don't spend the time putting all this stuff just to fill 80 characters. As I said, if I have a 5-gallon bucket, I can still carry 2 gallons of water. They just give you 5 gallons in case you want to do more. The name of the town doesn't mean you have to fill it up. It's just my opinion. $3. So people are giving these cards away. They don't sell it fast. Probably if I was selling at a price, wouldn't be worth listing on there, and they go for $4.95. So as you've seen, the spread goes from $30 down to $3. Spires might be something. I think it's just that one person coming across it and stuff like that. They're not fast sellers. You don't get big prices for them. There might be some real photos out there that are worth a lot more, but I wouldn't spend a lot of time on these. I would sprinkle them in over, 1 out of 10 cards or whatever. Sprinkle them in on there. Or if you got the spires and balance rock, real photos, I would put those up. But be careful with them. Don't spend a lot of time, is my recommendation. Garden of the Gods. Who knew? Now, instead of a poll today, I decided to do something a little different because I get a lot of people saying, you sell postcards? Yeah, well, who buys those? I don't know, but a lot of people do. I sell a lot of postcards. I'm not the top seller, I'm not the bottom seller. I'm nice where I want to be. But let me see if I can formalize why people buy postcards. So I went out and did some research, and I come up with top 10 reasons why people buy postcards. And maybe you'll agree with some of these, or you got something to add or whatever, but I'll try to key in on a couple of them that I think is the reason for my niche why people buy them from me. The first one is historical and nostalgic value. Vintage postcards often capture moments in time showcasing historical landmarks, old advertisements, or cultural aesthetics from a bygone era. Collectors and history enthusiasts buy them to preserve a tangible connection to the past. I think that's a big thing. With the older postcards, and most of them are becoming vintage now and stuff. In the early 1900s, there was billions of postcards done during the golden age of postcards, 1908, 1912, around there. Different dates you'll see out there. I think those are the dates I stick with. So there's billions of them out there. And people want what it looked like, in 1900s. What did the Main Street look like back then? Me, I like what it looked like 40 years ago. I'm 60 years old, so 40 years ago I was in my prime. So I want to see remember what it looked like then. But a lot of people want to go back in the past. So I think historical and nostalgic value is a big thing. Artwork and aesthetic appeal. Many vintage postcards feature intricate designs, hand-painted artwork, or unique photographic styles that appeal to art lovers. Some use these postcards as decor or inspiration for creative projects. I would put that in the mid. People are looking to frame these or do artistic stuff. I don't think I sell to many of those people. Then genealogy and personal connections. Postcards with written messages can provide a personal glimpse into family history. People sometimes buy postcards from a specific location or era related to their ancestors or hometown. I think this is a big one for me that I target, putting the cities and towns and states and what it is into there for saved searches, or people putting their town in Germantown, USA, San Francisco, USA, Little Town, West Virginia, and all these cards come up. So I think that's a big thing with personal connections. Now, I'm not a back of the card reader. I don't read the messages and stuff like that. I do once in a while, something catches my eye with nice handwriting or something like that, but I'm not one of those guys. I sell to people that do that, is what I like to do. So I think that's a big one also for me. Thematic collecting. Postcard collectors, or deltiologists is what we're called if you collect postcards and stuff, often focuses on specific themes like holidays, transportation, art, architecture, or famous events. eBay offers a vast selection that caters to their niche interests. So I think topics is a big one for me. I sell a lot of topical postcards, certain subject, airplanes, boats, trains, birds, stuff like that is another one that I like to key in on topics on there, and I think everybody will have that when they put postcards up. Is going to get. I think topicals are really doing good, better than sometimes abused. Then crafting and upcycling. Vintage postcards are popular among crafters or scrapbookers, collage making, or other upcycled projects. These distinctive designs and textures make them perfect for creating unique art pieces. So if you got a bunch of Garden of Gods you just don't want to list and stuff, put them up. The scrappers will buy them. They'll make scrapbooks and logs and frame things or make things out of them. You won't get top dollar for them, but it's better than sitting in your store and not selling it all, and you get your money back for them. So if you're buying a box of postcards and there's a good half of it is Garden of Gods, and you're going to pay pretty good money just for the other ones you want, and nothing for those, you're getting them for a penny a piece, then just get them and just lot them up and put scrappers on there. People buy those and stuff. I don't do a lot of that. I'm sure some of my cards go to those people, the ones I do. Investment and resale value. Rare and well-preserved postcards can appreciate in value over time. Collectors and resellers purchase them as investments or to sell for a profit later. I come across some cards like that. The Santa Claus I sold for $1,900. That probably falls into investment. And there's not a lot of them out there, I guess. I wasn't an expert on it and stuff, but then some of the other cards I sell probably are not in this category. So I'm probably not targeting those people. Unique souvenirs. Some buyers seek out postcards featuring old views and places they're visited or wish to visit. These can serve as distinctive personal souvenirs, often with more character than modern ones. Fascination with handwritten messages. So some people really dig into those, or they just want a souvenir. Like we have some posters in our TV room over here in the basement of like the Balloon Fest, the Grand Canyon. When I come across a neat card like the mules of the Grand Canyon, I'll go over and put it in the corner of the frame of the mules, because we rode those down there. Of the balloons, I got some postcards. Chicago, we spent time. San Francisco, and when I find something cool, I'll go over and just attach it to the frame. So that's a souvenir, and I think I do sell to a lot of those people as well. Vintage postcards. Often they have handwritten messages, stamps, and postmarks. People are intrigued by these personal touches, which provide a glimpse into the everyday lives and sentiments of past generations. So one card that I looked at is called Maximum Postcards, or Maxi Cards. I did a video about that a long time ago, where you have, so say it's a NASA space flight of the space shuttle. You got the stamp with the space shuttle on it, you got the postmark from NASA, and the picture is of the space shuttle. So, and they put the stamp on the front and the postmark on the front, and they can frame it, and that's called a Maxi Card. So it's got those three things: the stamp, the postmark, and the postcard are all of the same theme and stuff like that. So vintage postcards, but there's also people look for stamps, they look for messages, and just different things. I'm not that person. I'll sell my cards to people at a price that they can do something more with. That just not my thing. Some people love to do that. I'm just not that person. And some people don't like what I do, how I do it. You know, they would rather do it that way. So we're all different. We're individuals. So vintage postcards with handwritten messages. Then education and research. I've had schools, professors, museums, libraries, people come in and buy some things. If they're not your consistent buyers, they're doing a project, kids are doing something for school, or they need a prop in their class or something like that. But education and research, historians, educators, and researchers use vintage postcards to study changes in architecture's fashion and language and evolution. They can be valuable primary sources for understanding the past. So if I wanted to talk about this town here as a teacher, I could put this up on the screen, or I could take a picture, or I can pass the postcard around class. Visual and touching and hearing, people will learn and retain better. That's what I found. So education and research. I probably do sell to those type of people, and some people have thanked me for stuff or asked me for certain cards, and I'll help them out here and there. But that's not my top one. It's lower than mid. Then the last one, sentimental and romantic gifts. Vintage postcards make thoughtful and unique gifts, especially if they feature a meaningful location, era, or theme connected to the recipient. Some even frame them as keepsakes. My Navy ships during the holidays, I sell a lot more. It seems I sell a lot more. And if I did the numbers, I'd probably do. You know, what you feel and what you see and what actually happens sometimes can be different. But people during the holidays like to buy the Navy ships for their father. Or the father or the people that were on the ships, the lady or whatever, whoever, wanted a touch of the past. They just got out of the Navy, or during World War II, they know of the ship, or they watched the movie. And some people have passed away. Had one viewer of the channel bought some cards that he passed around during Christmas to remember their father or grandfather that were on the Navy ship. So I do sell a lot of those. And so people do that for sentimental reasons. As you get older, mortality sets in. It's just fact of life, and people start remembering how it was before. But those are the 10 reasons. If someone comes and says, they sell postcards, these are the 10 reasons that I came up with. How can you add to this? What other things do you think I missed? These are pretty broad. They cover a lot of things. But put it in the comments. Why do you think people buy postcards? Is it going to continue forever? I think so. It's ephemera. And we're selling billheads from the 1900s. Why can't we sell it in the 2030? That's the 10 reasons why people buy postcards. Viewer comments come from email or YouTube. Some of the email ones will get pretty long, so I just kind of paraphrase. If you want it more private, put it in email. Put it in comments on YouTube. Everybody sees it. There's no way to block it or whatever. What you see in the YouTube comments is what I see. There's nothing behind the scenes and stuff like that. Now, once in a while, when you put a comment in YouTube, it doesn't show up right away. I find them in the held category. There's a place where it keeps the trolls and people like that. There's keywords that YouTube takes out, like if they come in cursing and stuff like that. They don't even show those to me. And they get sometimes put into the held thing, and I got to go in there and approve it and get it out. So if you don't see it right away, or if you left a comment and you don't see it, and it doesn't come out, let me know. I never try to block comments from regular viewers. And I don't get a lot of trolls and stuff like that. If I do, I try to keep those people out. We don't need all those. They can go fight with somebody else. So I don't even respond to them. So that's what happens to messages sometimes. Not that I'm not putting them up. It's just I never see them sometimes. So just post it again. 3 comments here. The first one I had to think about. What does your typical day look like? I got that in an email with a little bit more messages, but I took the top line. What does your typical day look like? The people are trying to figure out, or they spend probably time management, I think. So I had to think about it. Since I retired, I've been retired over 5 years, I really don't have a schedule. I don't have a place to be. For years, I was always on a schedule. I had to be somewhere. I like having a schedule. I like having routine. That's just me. And a lot of people are like that. So my typical day is, every day is a Saturday to me. There's really no weekends and stuff, except when my kids are off or stuff like that, or grandkids don't have school. Typical day, I wake up in the morning, grab a cup of coffee, come downstairs to the office, turn the TV on, get Sal down here. He comes down with me in the morning, make sure he's got food and stuff like that. Do your normal routine in the morning and stuff. And then I start and I go through and I see what's sold. I always check my bank cards, my bank accounts every day, just to make sure there's nothing going on. add some figures to a spreadsheet, and then I go through and I pull the cards that sold. If there's no big box or anything, they might just go in the mailbox with the flag up. Probably 3 or 4 times a week I do drive over to the post office because I have a P.O. box over there. I like to check. And the people are nice and I like to get out. It's only 10 minutes. It's not going to kill me. And I just throw them in a blue box. They get picked up 2 or 3 times a day over there. And so I pack those up by noon, 10 to noon, I'm done with everything. I'll putz around with YouTube. I don't, if I record this video right now, it probably won't get edited for another 2-3 weeks sometimes. I just get them done ahead of time, so if something happens, I get sick or I have a family issue or I have some other things I want to do, I don't have to rush to do a video. A lot of YouTubers will record a video, edit a video, do the thumbnail, put everything together, and they just spend 3-4 hours of their day. I do it in pieces. So, like my thumbnails, I might have the thumbnails done all the way to August. And then I'll work on the descriptions and the research. That's probably the longest part, is getting all the paragraphs, all the data, and putting it into a term where it's readable and not real long. Then I'll go through and I'll grab all the sample postcards of things, like the Garden of Gods. I'll go out there and grab those for when I read the paragraphs. Then I go out and I do the sell-through rate for them. Then I do this. So I do a little bit every day, basically, with that, so it's not sitting down for hours and you get tired of it. I just do little pieces, so at the end, I'm ahead of the game. And then later in the afternoon, if I'm not doing anything, the wife's not doing anything, I'll come down and take a look and see what's sold. And if there's a lot of stuff sold and it's getting to be Friday, or I might run them over to the post office again, go to the store, stuff like that. And then later in the evening, we have dinner and watch TV, and I'll putz around a little bit here and there. So I don't sit here all day just listing and don't have the time to do things. Me and my son have the aerial photography with the drone business. Basically 25 hours a week I'm out there. So if I wake up in the morning, I might have a 9 o'clock appointment to go do a roof inspection or do a video, something like that. And that'll take most of the day and stuff. So it just depends on type of season. During the winter we don't get a lot of jobs because you really don't want, you can't do roof inspections and home inspections and stuff with a drone with snow on the roof. It's, so it's a little break. Some weeks are busier, some days are busier. I might have 4 or 5 jobs a day. I might have 1 job. Then there is driving to it. I have a 60-mile radius that I do, and it can go over. My son has a 30-mile radius. He has a full-time job as a dental technician. We'll meet up sometimes and do things together. But that's really my typical day. I really don't have a schedule. And being retired, you have to find something to do. If you're financially set, you got to find something to do, and this is what my hobby is: the drones and postcards and reselling. And my brother has a lake house down about an hour and a half, 2 hours south of me in Indiana, a nice lake. I'll go down there and stuff. So you just got to find something to do, and that's what this does. But none of it is a point where I can't walk away and go to the post office. I hear some people say, well, I can't spend the time to go to the post office. You know how much money I'm losing? I don't think that way. If I can't step away for 20 minutes to go do something, then I'm doing something wrong. If I can't have family over and not list that day or 2 days, and my business goes to crap, there's something wrong. I'm not selling the right stuff, or I'm not doing something. It doesn't stop me. Like, we're going on a trip for 10 days, and then we get back, and in 2 months we go for another 7 days on another trip. I just float on time away, and it happens whatever it happens. I'm not worried about that. Now, I'm not full-time, so I'm not relying on this to pay my bills, but I don't think of it that way. My business is strong enough to handle it if I don't list every day, if I don't do something every day. eBay's not going to chastise me. If they do, it'll bounce back. It always has. But that's my typical day. There's probably a lot more to it, but I'm not tied to a schedule or whatever. But I do have a routine to get things done. Thanks for asking that. It made me think about, what do I really do? Then the next one was a comment, email. I was shipping only 2 days a week, and then after listening to you, I changed to shipping my sold items in 1 or 2 days, and my sales have increased and messages have decreased. So I'm not for sure what the increase in sales is. Is it high or low, 5%, 50% increase? But if you're only shipping 2 days a week and you're selling postcards, people were probably messaging you, hey, has this shipped yet? Hey, has this shipped? That's the message I never want to get. I never ever want to get a message, have you shipped this yet? If you're getting those messages, now there's over expectations. Some people want it shipped right when they buy it. They want it out today. That's an over expectation. I'm talking about a normal buyer. It's been 4 days and you haven't shipped it yet and you get a message. I never ever want to have that message. Now when you're on vacation, you might get some messages like that. I just let them go. I'm on time away. They see that if they don't read the message and they get back, they want to refund or cancel, that's fine too. But you got to get away from it. But your competition is shipping as much as possible. If you're retired or full-time and you're only shipping 2 days a week, I think there's room to find more, unless there's other medical conditions or other things going on. Everybody has a different situation. I ship 6 days a week and stuff, sometimes a couple days, times a day. If I'm going out somewhere, I'll look and see if I got any postcards that I can drop at the post office. I get them in the system. That's the best thing to do. During the holidays, I only had one that got lost. One. Everybody was complaining about packages being slow and stuff like that. I was going to the post office sometimes 2 times a day just to get them in the system. I put them in the mailbox in the morning, and then if I was going out to the store or the family house or doing some other things, I'd run them by the blue box, whatever post office, and I got 2 post offices I can drop them at. I just drop them in there. It only takes a few minutes, and I get that extra day. You got a holiday coming up. So say we got a Monday holiday, and you don't ship Saturday and Sunday at all. That's just what you don't do. Well, everybody and their brother, everybody else is probably doing it. And I never really see why, if I'm retired, why I need to take Saturday and Sunday off. I can take Wednesday and Thursday off. But I try to get everything out when there's a Monday holiday, Saturday morning or Friday, and get them in the system. You get that extra day, because the post office is still moving stuff behind the scene. They're just not delivering mail. So by doing that, I think that's a good key. And other part of the message was that it's a lot easier for him now. He's not spending 2 hours packing things up. He's just spending 20 minutes and getting them in the mailbox, and his messages and stuff went down, and he feels good about it. So he liked that. Some of my recommendations might not work out for you, but I'm glad that one did. So the next comment is, have you ever tried selling postcards in a local antique booth? No. It's flat no. I looked into antique booths a few 4 or 5 years ago. Me and my father-in-law were looking into it. First thing is, people think so small, in my mind. We're a global economy now. And antique booths are good for large stuff, I think, on there, but selling on eBay, you got the whole world you can open up to. Selling in an antique store, yeah, it's another market you can tap for your local stuff, but you're only going to get the people that walk in that door, in that area. So we have 30,000, 32,000 people live around in these 3 cities right where I live. Or in the main city, probably 45, 50,000 people. Down around here, farms and stuff like that. How many of those people are going to go into an antique store and not go on eBay and stuff? We go to the antique store probably once every 3 months and just look around. We don't see a lot of new stuff. And then I talk to a lot of friends at the auctions I go to. They sell in antique stores, and they said they barely make rent some months on there. The ones I think that really win at antique booths are the people that own the business. Yeah, you can find some things in there, unique stuff. I don't think they're bad. I don't mind going to them and looking around and finding some stuff. But I see a lot of stuff sitting. If you're not selling on eBay and you're only doing antique stores, I would go just flip it around. You got the whole world you can sell to, and then you can do the antique store as a side gig if you like doing that. But no, I don't think selling postcards in an antique store is lucrative enough. If I had a booth, I would put a basket or a box in there in addition to my other stuff, but I wouldn't just sell postcards. People are going to change things around, move your boxes around, cards in the boxes, and you got constant inventory stuff. You got to price every card and stuff like that. I found some great cards in postcards, but they just weren't selling postcards by themselves. They were selling other stuff in their booth. So no, I'm not an antique person. Plus, another thing, we have a lot of theft. I hear from the sellers, people steal small things out of the antique booths. There's this one booth that I would love to buy something from. He's got these glass cabinets and he's got these metal bars running across with big old locks on them. And every time you want to see something in the cabinet, you have to go get the person, they have to unlock the cabinet, pull the bar out, and stuff like that. I don't even look in there, but he's got some lunch boxes I would really like to buy in there, and stuff like that. He could probably get a couple $100 every 3 months from me. But I don't go there because everything's locked up like Fort Knox. Then you go in another booth, and they do the same thing. So it's getting to the point where everything's in a cabinet. You can't get to it. You can't see it. And so the people that are stealing stuff are making it harder. I can see a seller's standpoint in doing that, but you don't need a big metal bar running across all your cabinets with big old padlocks on each end, and it takes 5 minutes for the person to do it. If I was a business person to own that place, I would not be having my workers do that. It'd be either get a small lock on it just to keep people away. So no, I don't do that. Garden of the Gods. I got Bryce Canyon coming up too. I want to see what the theme is for these things, but so far our 2% sell-through rate on Garden of the Gods rock formations, yeah, they're not on my top of my priority list. How about you? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.